Hi, I'm David Boyd. I'm here today to talk about compassionate kids, teaching kids to care and to pray, and especially as time goes on to learn to give and then to go, to share their faith and be the kind of person God would love to have them to be. Kids there's so much potential in them. It's like God has put a seed of compassion down inside of them, like you putting a seed in the ground. And with the right kind of moisture, the right kind of conditions, that seed will sprout. Just like a seed in the ground will sprout and become a giant tree or a plant that bears fruit. Kids have this seed of compassion down inside of them, and it's amazing when you have the opportunity to see it come forth. We talk about kids, they start to know. They know about the world, they know about the lost, and then after they hear about it, a caring starts to happen. Their heart starts to germinate. They want to do something. They feel desperate for those people. They feel sorry for those people. They feel a compassion, a link with those people in some way. And so as they care, then they begin to pray. They want to pray. They ask God, what can they do? And after they pray, they want to do something, want to give, they want to sacrifice. So we like to talk to kids to start with about the poor around the world, and then the lost that goes along with being poor. But kids seem to grab a hold of what it's like not to have. You typically ask the kids who here is poor. And it's amazing here in America, most of the kids think they're poor because there are those around them that have more than they have. So therefore they're poor because there are others who have more. And so when we ask kids that, most kids think they're poor because mom and dad have had to say, no, you can't buy that. No, you can't buy that. No, you can't buy that. And they interpret that as we're poor, you know. So we like to tell the kids, what does it mean to be poor by the world's standard? What does poor mean? And I like to talk with three things. First, I'll say, you know you're poor if you've never had a bed. If you have to sleep on the ground, well, then you know you're poor. If you don't have a mattress, you don't have a bed, you're sleeping on the ground. You may not even have a blanket. You might have a mat. You might have a piece of burlap, a piece of plastic, but you sleep on the ground. That's how you know you're poor. You probably have never in your lifetime owned a pillow. The pillow is your arm. You don't have a bed, you don't have a pillow, you don't have a blanket, you're poor. And that usually grabs a hold of the kids. They start to think what that must be like to sleep on the ground. And then we say, you know you're poor if you've never had a toy. And that like grabs them in a different way. They're like, you know, they can't fathom what life would be like without a toy, because even our poorest kids in America typically have toys. Sometimes lots of toys. But around the world, you don't have a toy. There's never been money for a doll. There's never been money for a ball. There's never been money for a truck. If they have a toy, it's a pop can filled with marbles and they've sealed the ends and now it's a rattle. That's a toy. They make it from something. But number three, they know they're poor if mom has to decide who's going to eat today. I mean, think about that. You know, mom has to decide which children or herself who gets to eat today. Why? Because there's only enough food for one. There's only a little tiny bit of rice, and she has to decide who's going to get it. They don't have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. They're lucky if they get to eat one bowl of rice a day. And sometimes they don't eat every day. That's what it's like to be poor. And when we talk to our kids about that, something down inside their heart begins to churn as they start to realize how much they have and so how little the world has. And then when you tell them they've never been to church, they've never held a Bible, they've never been to Sunday school, they've never heard the name of Jesus, it's like God's waiting right there for them to get it, that these kids and these people around the world are not only poor in every other way, they're also poor in their knowledge of Jesus and their availability to have Jesus. And so when you start teaching kids about that, when you start teaching kids about the places around the world, when you show videos to kids of the needs of the world and what our missionaries are trying to do, a heart of compassion starts to well up inside of them. Because they now know, they now start to care. Because they care, they start to pray and they start to say, Jesus, you got to help these kids that don't have food. Jesus, you have to help these families that don't have water. Jesus, you have to help these kids that don't have moms or dads and don't have a place to sleep, who have to sleep on the street or eat out of the garbage dump. Kids start to pour out their heart to God because the compassion has taken root and now they want to pray. And after praying comes giving. They say, what can I do? I want to do something. And so here's some ideas in regards to giving. First of all, challenge the kids. One of our favorites is to challenge them to try and earn $31 in 31 days. That's not hard. Kids think it's not hard. They have one chore from somebody and they get more than $1. If they have relatives or friends or grandma or grands, aunts and uncles, neighbors, pastors, teachers, and they ask, I want to earn some money for missions, what can I do? And someone says, plant the flowers, pull the weeds, spray my house off, wash my car, vacuum the house, wash the windows, do the dishes, clean your room. It's amazing when a child says, I want to earn money for missions, people find them a job to do. Why? Because they love the work ethic that goes into that request. Kids today don't work for the most part. Teenagers don't work for the most part. There's a laziness that has crept into our society. And when kids start to earn money for the lost of the world, two things happen. Their compassion grows, their sacrifice grows, their commitment to God grows, but also their work ethic grows. They start to realize that they can do stuff with their hands, with their feet, with their body. So we challenge them to do $31 in 31 days. It's amazing. We have kids all over that'll do $100 in 31 days because in their first week they earn $45 and there's 3 weeks left to go and they keep going. And pretty soon those kids want to earn $100 next month and $100 next month. And pretty soon they have a goal of $1,000 for the year and they hit it. It's amazing, these kids, when they get on fire for God and they start doing things, it goes big time. Now, what are some other ideas? Technology. Going on Facebook, their parents' Facebook page. When a child goes on the Facebook page and says, hey, there's people in our world who have no food to eat, and BGMC is going to help them earn money or get money so we can feed the people around the world. And I'm trying to raise $500 this year, and I'm doing chores. And if you have a chore I can do, I would love to do it. Or if you have money you can send. It's amazing how many people will send money to a child who obviously is showing a heart of compassion. So compassionate kids is when that kid gets it. He's doing this giving, this praying because he gets it. He knows that there's a need around the world and he wants to fill it, or she wants to fill it. It's amazing what happens. One's called 10-10-10. That's when, say, a young lady wants to get 10 people to give them $10 in 10 days. So they contact everybody they can possibly think of, grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles. They call them, they text them, and I'm involved in 10-10-10. And I'm trying to find 10 people who can give me $10 so I can earn $100 in 10 days. And I'll do a chore, I'll come over to your house, I'll do work, but 10-10-10 is kind of a cool way of earning $100, and it works. People say, I'll be one of the 10, I'll send you $10, and boom, it happens. Now, you have one child earning $10. Imagine having 30 childs earning $100. That's $3,000 that come in really fast. A neighborhood garage sale. That's when a child with their parents goes door to door in their neighborhood and they ask the neighbors, we're going to have a garage sale and all the money is going to go to feed the poor in Africa, or it's going to go for beds in Africa, or it's going to go to feed people or in Latin America, or whatever the need is. When you say, here's what I'm rating, people have stuff they will give you. And if you go to 50 neighbors and get $20 worth of stuff from 50 neighbors, you got $1,000 worth of stuff, and all you did was spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours canvassing your neighborhood, going door to door. You could have a slip of paper if they're not home to put on the doorstep, says here's what we're doing, but it's a great way to earn some money. Okay? Buddies. This was just done by a boy down in Florida. But the idea is we have buddy boxes that are free. They fold flat. He'd mail them to all his relatives and ask them to save change at the end of the month, count it up, and send a check in for BGMC. And he did that with his neighbors. He did that in his city. He did that with his hairdresser, the parents, where his parents worked, where his grandparents worked. He had like 100 buddy boxes across the city and across the country, really. And that year he raised $17,000 for BGMC because he had 100 buddy boxes out there, and 100 people sending in $10 was $1,000 a month. That's how quickly it all added up. So it's a great thing. We call it Buddies now. Soda sale. Kids buy soda, put it on ice, find a place to sell it. Chocolate chip cookie dough sale. You buy a tube of chocolate cookie dough, cut it into 7 monster cookies, and sell 7 monster cookies for $2 a piece. And you make $14. You buy another tube of cookie dough, you cut it up, and you just keep doing that, and you're raising money for BGMC. We used to challenge our older kids in the summertime. We'd give them all $5 and have them try and multiply it for BGMC, like the story of the talents, and challenge them to buy cookie dough and sell cookies, or buy soda and sell soda, or buy stuff and make crafts and sell crafts. But whatever it was, we had kids earning $700, $800, $900 by the end of the summer who had taken that $5 and multiplied it. And even if they raised $60, they've taken that $5 and they've worked hard and they've earned $60. It's something to be celebrated. As these kids, because of the compassion in their heart, they learn to give. We encourage you to set the example. If your kids are going to earn $31 in 31 days, you do it. If the kids are going to do 10, 10, 10, you do it. You find 10 people that will give you $10 to give you $100 for missions. I mean, set the example and do something big for God. You have a garage sale. You canvass your neighborhood. You do the same things you're asking the kids to do. First of all, you learn a lot about it, but you can brag about yourself and how you're doing, and the kids will kind of get into it because you're talking about yourself. Special days in kids' church, you could have a day when you have a prize for the heaviest buddy barrel, and kids will be thinking about bringing pennies. You can have a prize for the most dimes. You can have a prize some Sunday for the most quarters. Dollar bills around the room. You can have kids bring dollar bills for a month, and you tape them end to end. Have a boys roll, a girls roll, or a 5th grade roll, and a 4th grade roll, and a 3rd grade roll. And you unroll the dollar bills to see who has the longest, who's ahead, who has the longest string. And it's a lot of fun. You can do a couple things once or twice a year, like a bike-a-thon. Give the kids pledge sheets. They can go out and have people pledge them. It works very, very well. We choose a bike-a-thon, and we choose a safe location around the church parking lot, or around the track at the high school, or around the city park. But don't take them out on the street. No sense of getting cars involved. Don't make any risk whatsoever. It doesn't have to be long. It needs to be fun. So if they're biking in a big circle, you can have one spot where there's super soakers, but you have to pick adults who will purposely miss the kids, or hit them in their backside, or get them in the side. Try not to, you don't want to squirt them in the face. You're not trying to make them wreck. So keep teenagers away from it, or they really will be trying to get the kids blasted and wet. Instead, you're just trying to make a hot zone, keep them a little cooled off. It's hot outside. Have a Gatorade spot where the kids come by, and you have little Dixie cups. Do you need Gatorade yet? Need Gatorade yet? And they come and buy every 2 minutes, But it's just kind of a fun thing for them. All right? So a bike-a-thon's a great thing that works well. Once a year, have the adults perhaps take an offering in the sanctuary for BGMC. Maybe challenge them to have matching funds. You might have a wealthy person in your church, or a person that really gives to missions. Ask them to match a month of your kids. You can give an idea of what that is. It might be $100 that's going to come in a month. Might be $400 that comes in a month. But when you tell the kids that it's going to be matched, those kids work really hard, and that donor matches whatever the kids give. You could even have the missions committee match the whole year, or a donor could match the whole year or something. So don't be afraid to seek out people who will match what the kids do, because that will inspire the kids even more. Finally, we want to teach the kids to go. We want them to have a heart for others, to share their faith. And so we want to encourage them at school to tell their friends about Jesus, tell their friends what miracles have happened. If God answered their prayer, talk about it. Tell your teacher about it, your friends about it, but share your faith, teaching kids to do that. Someday, my God may call them to be missionaries, may call them to be pastors, and someday they'll go 100% with their whole body. But right now, their job is to go to school, to their neighbors, to the relatives, write letters, but tell people about Jesus. We hope that Compassionate Kids is a part of your spirit, a part of your heart, and it'll be something that you'll be able to encourage kids that you have come in contact with, and they in turn will become compassionate kids for Jesus Christ. God bless.